Okay, cool. Hello, and welcome to the Fisher Protocol, the show where saying The Who is the greatest rock and roll band of all time is not subjective, but everything else is. Please take a quick second to like, subscribe, and share us with your Who-minded friends. The Who is a passion of ours. This is more of a personal journey, and no money is made from these videos, so liking and subscribing lets us know we are not alone in Who land. Constructive feedback is always welcome, either in the comments below, or you can follow me as I spout Who-related content, sometimes snarky, on Twitter and Instagram at Fisher Protocol. I am Ethan, and I am being joined today by my best Who friends, Tom and Betts. We do not claim to be experts, just three fans who like to talk about the greatest rock and roll band of all time, The Who. Hey, guys.
Hey!
It's been so long. So this is going to be, we're recording this on February 22nd, February 14th. I know we're a little late. Does anyone know how many years?
52.
I'm 69, so.
Yeah.
It was recorded 70. So you do the math, 52 years? So
Yep.
Yeah, 52 years since, and I say this with no bravado. I say this with no hyperbole. It just is a fact that this is the greatest live at Leeds. We're talking about The Who live at Leeds. We're talking about the greatest live album ever recorded, period. And if that's not something you like hearing, then you're watching the wrong show. So, please stay. But, keep your song remains the same and get your yayas out over there, because I'm not even dealing with it. It's The Who, it's live at Leeds. Today we're going to talk about the 1995 version, which is the first and only version I heard for many, many, many years. And of course, I heard it was legendary status before I heard it. And then I heard it, and it was just confirmed right off the bat. Tom, before we get started, what is your first introduction to this record, and what do you think of it?
I had the original album version on CD for a long time. Maybe not that long, actually. Maybe 2 or 3 years when I first started getting into The Who.
And the original as in the 6 tracks?
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
Yeah,
super basic version. And I was over at a friend's house at a party, and some guys were going through some CDs, like put stuff on this was like a house party. And I was like, this guy's flipping through his thick binder of CDs, and I saw he had like the Live at Leeds Deluxe Edition. And I was like, hey man, can I borrow this and bring it back? I'm going to go home real quick and make a copy of it. And it was the most absurd thing ever in my life. And I wasn't drinking or anything. I wasn't partying. I was just there. I literally went home, burned a copy of it, and then brought it back and gave it back to him. It was absurd. Who would let anybody do that?
I had a similar experience at camp, but I'm the one who had the Tommy movie soundtrack.
Oh.
On cassette. And once every couple of days, some older camper would come to me and be like, hey, can I borrow that and dub it real quick? I'm like, sure. Betts, live at Leeds, what's your history?
I didn't have it. I can't believe I didn't have it, but I didn't have it. So the expanded edition that we're doing today was the first time I actually ever played it all the way through. And I mean, obviously I knew the songs on it, and Summertime Blues was a staple of album-oriented rock. We'd all go crazy when it came on in the car, But I didn't have the original for whatever weird reason. I don't know how I missed it, but yeah, I made up for it.
And you like it, I assume.
Love it.
Yeah, so it was the only one I got was the 95, and then, I'll get to it more when we talk about Magic Bus, but I bought the Jerry Maguire soundtrack, and it had, because, hey, man, there's good stuff on there. There's all the songs I never heard on there. Cameron Crowe always has Who-related things in his movies. Yep. And, every time you're looking for something, you look for the Who in media when you're watching stuff, and there's like a Who thing. You're like, oh my God, there's a Who thing, and your wife is like, shut up, I'm trying to watch a movie. And this one was Jerry Maguire, and Cuba Gooding Jr. has to walk through. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Has to walk through the sports expo and sell himself as a football player. Mm-hmm. And the whole movie starts with you see a world, and the first thing you hear is Pete Townsend saying "Magic Bus."
Yeah.
and the and Keith starts with the blocks and the drums. And so a couple times in this movie it comes out. So I'll get to the more of that later because there is something when it comes to Magic Bus. But sorry for the ramble. Let's get into it. Bets, we want to help us out with Heaven and Hell, the intros.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so this was interesting. Again, I've been a fan since '78, but it's weird how many blank spaces I have. So it wasn't until I heard Isle of Wight that I realized that they opened their sets between like 70 and 71 with Heaven and Hell. It blew my mind because my only experience up to that point with it was on Smash Your Head. So it was had horns and was, a little slower. This kicks ass. I mean, like Moon's drums just propel this song so hard. It's first of all, it's a great song. It's one of John's best. The dude was just such a great satirist and would, Pete would always be like, I'm going to address like philosophical questions, like what's our place in, in the world and what's this and what's that. And John's lyrics on this are so great because it is just such an antidote to that, it keeps, and I think it kind of keeps the band from, I don't know, turning into the Moody Blues or whatever, but in terms of topic. But this version of Heaven and Hell is it's spot on. And I can't believe that they didn't include it in the original album. I understand that Pete said it was like technically deficient, but it works. It is hellacious. I love it. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, they go right into that. And this is great because my feeling is that you can't really experience The Who until you hear them live. And the way that Pete and John trade off constantly, they compete with each other, but then again, they cooperate with each other. It's just so good. The thing about I Can't Explain that I like about is that by this time, there's a swagger to this that's not in the original pop song. So it's a little slower. It's a little more, I don't know. These are guys that don't have any confusion about getting the girlies at this point. This is all swagger, just really, really great. They sound like a jet engine coming through this ear ceiling, and in a good way, So, yeah.
Tom, on anything on the intros?
Yeah, I mean, strong. It sets the tone for the whole album, and just you got three guys playing lead instruments, or playing instruments in a lead way, and it shows even just through those two songs. You're just blown away by, how can those three people make that much noise, and it sounds amazing.
And the tightness of Heaven and Hell is so absolute. Right away, the first thing you hear is this herd of elephants in your ears, and there's nothing like it in the world, right?
No.
And then they and Heaven and Hell is kind of like a hurry up, get in your seat song, the show's starting song, because as all proper Who geeks, they start with I Can't Explain. It's one of my favorite things, and the guitar tone on this album is
mythical. It's mythical.
It's mythical. It's so, and I'm gonna get into it later, pure psychedelic when he uses the fuzz. They're just amazing. Tom, next they lift off into the Fortune Teller Tattoo Young Man Blues stretch.
Yes. I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I would say with the next track, Fortune Teller, it's maybe the weakest song on the album. And that's not dissing it by any means, but it might not be my favorite album or favorite song on the album, but it's still just like Pete's tone throughout that whole song is incredible. But the song kind of just drags a little bit. Keith is definitely doing his best to keep it pretty interesting, but I feel like you're kind of like, you want it to be a little bit faster, a little bit more up tempo, but still a good song. Moving into Tattoo though, there's a nice little, it's a beautiful transition from Fortune Teller to Tattoo. And it's a good story song. I think it's something that people could relate to. You decide to get a tattoo and you have to tell your parents at some point. I know, like my sister, got her first tattoo and like had to hide it forever and ever and ever and ever from my dad. Not that he ended up caring, but she thought he would. So I think it's something that people can really relate to. John and Keith are extremely tight in this song. You kind of hear about Keith being a sloppy player or whatever, but him and John are locked in together in this song.
Yeah.
And Young Man Blues, I don't know if there's much you have to say about this song, or this version at least. It's just an absolute barn burner, and it lets each member of their band just kind of show off, because this is not an easy song to play on any of those instruments. it's full force. It's 100%. So, yeah, that tends to be one of the songs I should let people listen to if they have questions like, "Oh, you like the Who?" Like, I've never listened to them. Like,
Yeah.
past the CSI songs, like this is one of them I let them hear and just go, "Holy shit, that's incredible."
And it's the first track on the original, right? It's the first
Yeah.
track on the original
Yeah.
cut of the album. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I don't agree on Fortune Teller. Tattoo is amazing. This is my standard for tattoo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not the album version. It's this cut of it. What makes a man to man? That's what kind of like, it's in line with what Pete Townsend writes about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, love it. Bets? Anything?
This is kind of because I'm not a musician and I don't know music that well, but I want to just say about, especially with Young Man Blues. This is kind of where the banter between Pete and Keith, and it goes on throughout the album, is so great, because like Pete tends to get a little, pretentious and a little, whatever. And then Keith's back there just like taking the piss out of him. And I love it. Like the whole thing about he's a jazz sage. And then you hear Keith in the background, he's flavored chicken. I still just die at that. And then it just keeps going throughout A Quick One and everything else. I know their relationship again was really complicated, but they also just have like the best back and forths. I mean, it's so good. Keith kind of keeps Pete in check with that. And it's just cute and funny, and I love it. And Young Man Blues is awesome. And right, like Tom said about the sloppy drummer kind of thing, you hear it every now and then. Somebody comes out and says, "Well, Keith Moon, he was a terrible drummer," and I'm like, "Well, aren't you cute with your little opinion like that?" Because he's not. And you listen to Leeds, and you know he's not. That dude's got it on lock. So yeah.
The tightness of the band on this, I've said it before, the tightness of this band, like on this album, from top to bottom, there's not sloppy drumming from
No, never.
So the next section is Substitute, Happy Jack, and I'm a Boy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so watching these Maximum R&B DVD growing up, I think Pete said he likes to do a 3-part show, right? He likes to do something to get you started, the quote-unquote difficult material in the middle, and a reward for being good at the end, is what he says, right? Okay. So we're all in this first part here, because for this tour, the difficult material in the middle is Tommy, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Which is not difficult, of course. I just love the power of the 3 pop tunes, okay? And I love imagining a Who fan who has been a Who fan up until 1970 going to this show. And knowing that you're going to hear Tommy, but then getting all this gold at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Substitute has always been one of my favorite songs. Substitute was the first Who song I ever heard outside of Tommy, because of that 1989 video. The first song they come back with on the video cut is Pete Townsend playing the Rickenbacker on Substitute. So I love it. I love it here. I think it should always go with I Can't Explain, which it doesn't here. It's like wine and cheese, but it's good. Happy Jack is just about Keith Moon, right? Is there anything more to say about Happy Jack than Keith Moon? I think that's the end of the review. I mean, it's just lead drumming all the way around. And another perfect piece of British pop music. I'm a Boy. And the fact that he did it so raw and it sounds so good.
Yeah.
And they keep this tightness and this tone that that they move into the psychedelic stage from here on out. It's just a train, and it never lets up, and it never stops, and it's amazing. And that's how I feel about those three songs anyway.
They're at the top of their game on this album. I mean, their vocals sound fantastic. They're playing the hell out of everything. I mean, they're at the top of their game on this.
Yeah, it's weird just to see a band be damn near flawless for an entire live show. You know what I mean? Like, to catch that on tape is incredible. So
yeah.
But yeah, those three songs, it just pop song, pop song, pop song, and yeah, I mean, getting that before settling in and going to Tommy, like, that's got to be incredible. Just like, how many times can you get hit over the head with amazingness?
Yeah, it's before the overture. I mean, you know what I mean. So, high points, a quick one. What do you got to say?
God, it's wonderful.
Yeah, a quick one. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about it. Again, another song, if I'm trying to introduce somebody to The Who, like, this is what this band can do, and there's this breadth of talent and skill and what they draw from. But yeah, I think I prefer this version to the Rock and Roll Circus version. There's just a little more oomph to it.
This is definitely my preferred version of a quick one while he's away. It's the one I listen to. If I'm picking between this and Rock and Roll Circus, just because I've heard it more, I guess.
I'm going with Rock and Roll Circus, but that's no shade on this, because and again, the back and forth with Keith and Pete kind of makes a lot of it for me. So it's just so funny. Pete's trying to explain it. Keith's in the back, just giving him hell. It's so good. It's so funny. Yeah,
it's a gem for sure.
Yeah.
So then, that song being what it's about leads into Tommy. And with this cut, though, we miss, we only get Amazing Journey and Sparks.
Yeah.
But it feels weird listening to the album without, hearing the rest of it. But Amazing Journey and Sparks is something I've always looked forward to in every Who show I've ever been to. This version is the best of the best as far as I'm concerned. Just when they go into Sparks, there's the bass solo, and then it's just listen to these guys just beat the hell out of their instruments. It is just this big chuggy, like, I love it. Really, really, really good.
And right after Tommy, they go straight back into the rock and roll bets with Summertime Blues, right?
Yeah. So this was one of those songs that, like I said, had a lot of airplay when I was growing up on the local radio station. So we would all get like super excited when it came on and stuff. Of course, John's using the voice, so that was even more like Right. And it's a great song because the Who, they understood what it was like to kind of like be a teenager at loose ends, and you're questioning this, you're questioning that, you can't catch any breaks, and this is such a great anthem for that. I mean, the original was Eddie Cochran, and it just fits that fits their sort of message, as it were. This is another
I feel like it's one of the songs that somehow they were able to make it and transcend the original into a sound that's so there.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Then the Johnny Kidd in the pirate cover, right?
Yeah. So this one, I wasn't ready for this, and I found something in it that just excited me. But interestingly enough, the first thing I learned was that they did this song because the Guess Who had a hit with it, and they got tired of people yelling at them to play this song because they were confused between the Who and the Guess Who. So they just started playing it in their sets. And I didn't really think a whole lot about it. I mean, I like the song. It's real chuggy and da-da-da-da. But I freaked out last night because I was listening to it, and I realized that as they're going on about the 2-minute mark, Pete starts playing these riffs, and I'm like, Wait. What is, I know what's going on here. That dude is straight up playing bargain. Straight up playing bargain at the 2 minute mark. Swear, I just was like, oh my God, you know. So yeah, he's playing bargain in there before it came out. So kind of a nice nifty preview for that.
I'll have to check that out. I'll have to roll back the tape.
Yeah, because I told you I listened to Hall.
Right.
And interestingly enough, about Hall was they introduced the songs with, we're going to play these two songs, Open Your Eyes, Open Your Hearts, and Say Goodbye, because we're never playing them again. Or maybe we'll play them 100 times.
Right.
And so I know they played Summertime Blues. I think it made a reappearance in '75, and they stopped doing it, obviously, when Tom died. But to hear that little bit of bargain in there was a treat. It was a nice little treat. So go listen to it.
I think what Summertime Blues was one of the one or two that they were doing in Watford right before John passed away. In that last show, they were bringing it back at that point, and then he passed away. Yeah. Tom, you got anything on Shaking All Over or Summertime Blues? Anything?
They're standalones. You know, they do what they're supposed to do, and they're fun covers, and I think that's kind of something I really enjoy going to live concerts for, is to see somebody or see a group do something that's not theirs. Otherwise I could just put it on the album and you know, if you're going to play the song the same way you recorded it, and that's all you do for the whole concert, like, all right, well, I could have just listened to the album. So
yeah,
I love a good cover. I love a good hiccup in the show. They prove it here. It's just, imagine being a teenager when seeing this tour or this show and just being like, oh my God, they're covering this. You know, you don't even know about it. So, well done on their part.
Shaking All Over has this version, and this will get me stoned, will be a little lax for me because I've gotten so used to the Isle of Wight version. Yeah. Which has Spoonful and Twist and Shout in it. I've become really addicted to that song, transforming into Spoonful, like a lot. And I know that's, later that year, of course. Yeah. But, it took me a while to like Shaking All Over. Does that mean if I go to a Who concert and scream, No Sugar Tonight, they'll do it?
Maybe.
Because, play American Woman. No? Okay. All right, so we were splitting this up a little bit, and we split it up by people this time, and I took My Generation and Magic Bus for myself as a selfish person. Because here's my biggest Who secret. I don't like... How do I put this? It's not that I don't like it. It has a place in history, but My Generation is not my first pick for a Who song.
Right.
It's not my second pick for a Who song. It's not my third pick for a Who song. It's not my fourth pick for a Who song. It's not my fifth pick for a Who song. It's not my sixth. It's not, it's hard or anything, but it's not my favorite Who song. It took me a while to look at My Generation, see how long it was, and I was like, I don't want to hear My Generation for 14 minutes, so I'm not going to play this. I was 11. Okay, so don't cancel me, all right? Because My Generation is exactly 1 minute and 38 seconds of this song. Yeah. It is My Generation for 1 minute and 38 seconds, and then it is and even with that, it's one of the most magnificent things I've ever heard. Putting it on the album alone without all the other stuff was a stroke of genius, because it covers so much ground. You get extra Tommy in there, which if people have just seen the Woodstock movie and they like the Who in it, you get to hear some of that in there. Just the fact that Pete takes it down for those little guitar interludes, and then it comes back up again, and where they don't quite know how to end it, and then they end it. And just the psychedelic tone that he gets, that is such a picture of that era on this epic version of My Generation. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's the best live My Generation, I think there is. So we were talking about Magic Bus before. On the original, there's a little remix there of the guitar at the beginning, which was taken off this. And since this was the first version I heard, it's the only one I was used to. So I never minded it. I still don't know how I feel about between the two. I understand if people heard the original album and they like that little guitar remix, why they'd want it there. And it's kind of cool when it was pointed out to me.
Yeah.
But it's a perfect Magic Bus too. And the thing is, they never played it like that before. You listen to Hull. Did Magic Bus sound like it does here? The same intro, same like.
Yeah,
lines?
yeah. It sounds. If I recall correctly, yeah. I'm having a little trouble remembering on that one, but I think it was pretty similar. I don't remember it standing out particularly, you know. So.
And the other thing I wanted to point out, the forces after the little guitar strumming, just when the bass kicks in, and I know John Entwistle says it's the most boring song to play.
That A, hitting on A.
Because you're just plunking on A and over again. But the force of that A, when it slides back in, and all of a sudden you're into the Roger Daltrey screaming Magic Bus, that's
If you could bottle it up.
if I could bottle it and sell it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't need to. I just need to put on headphones, you know, and have a subwoofer. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the perfect way to end the greatest live album of all time. What do you guys think of those two tracks?
Well, I'm a My Generation fan anyway, so of course, you know, obviously, I'm gonna love that. So it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, watching or listening to Pete kind of lead the band through the My Generation part, like they're not a jam band by any means in some sense or whatever, but like that is, if I wanted to listen to a jam band, that's what I want to listen to. It's just like him pulling everybody along, and you can tell it's very off script, and just he's playing guitar, and it's an extension of himself, and yeah, it's just a magical moment, and we're all lucky that it got caught on tape, because you know we've all seen the Who enough to know that every show is completely different.
Yeah.
That list is the same, but yeah, this one is just magical. Like there's no bum notes, there's no nothing. It's as good as it gets.
I do think it's a little bit more planned than you say.
Yeah,
But I think one of their talents is making it sound fresh, making it sound like it's not. Yeah.
And that's the thing about them is like to be as precise as they are. I mean, if you look at Hull, my understanding of Hull was when they did Hull, they lost the bass track, so it was not released until 30 years later. But then they were able to take the Leeds bass track and mix that in with it. So the precision that these guys play at, and then to make it sound like anarchy, is a feat. And then I want to add too that every now and then somebody on the Who fan pages will post a picture of the Leeds refectory. And when I was growing up, I thought Leeds was a stadium.
Yeah, so small.
It's not. Yeah, it's a lunchroom, and to just experience that and that musicianship and that sort of the way these guys can warp and bend sound. It just had to be an experience, like it just exhilarating. So, wow.
Yeah.
And after they already played places like Woodstock too.
Yeah.
Right. And they're still in the middle of this, tour that defines their whole career. You know what I mean? I didn't do any overdub research because when it comes down to it, I just don't care.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some, because that's the way they do things. And I think that little remix of the guitar at the beginning of Magic Bus, I think that would prove it. I just don't care. You know what I mean? The other thing I see up with it, always listed is like Thin Lizzy Live and Dangerous, and that has a ton of overdubs to it. It's just the way things were done. So
yeah.
I don't rank this with our Who albums because I only rank studio albums, right?
Right.
I think the only thing that we could even listen to compare, and I don't like to listen to this. I don't want to compare it to like a same set, so I don't want to compare it to like Isle of Wight, or I don't want to compare it to Hull. You know what I mean? If I'm gonna like listen to something, I wish there was like a really definitive like Who's Next show.
The live with the young Vic.
Yeah, but like even
Yeah.
even that is so weird because there's like no audience there, right?
They're
Yeah.
just going off the street and inviting people in. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I wish there was like a really good recording. There probably is. Someone lets me know. Send me some. Send me the soundboards from the '71 tour. Do it. You know what I mean? Or and there's plenty of stuff to listen to from '73 Quadrophenia,
Yeah.
like Philadelphia and
Right.
all that kind of stuff to listen to. But it's a real pivot point for the band. It's a stopgap, right? It's in the middle of Tommy and Who's Next, and you turn on Who's Next, and it's Bob O'Reilly, and we're in a different world for the rest of the time. So it's crystallized here on Live at Leeds, and it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that they were really concerned about being overtaken by Tommy. So this was almost like oh, are you here because of Tommy? Well, now listen to what we're really about. And that's important because, as Keith, I think, I'm not sure if it's Hull or if it's Leeds, but Keith makes a joke about, this is opera, have respect, and that kind of thing. And I think they just wanted to be the opposite of opera and opera houses and all that. And this was a way to sort of pull that back. And Leeds is just like, that's what we're about. This is what we're really about. And it's great. Definitive.
What I've done before, I made it so the set list was true to what they saw, what they played that night, where it's, this part, then Tommy, and then the ending, and like listen to that like straight through, and you'll just go, holy shit! Like, you imagine going to that show, like.
Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm.
But that's like one of those things. If people says give you a time machine, where do you go? Well, I go February 14th, 1970. I'm in Leeds, England. Is the first stop.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I might go to Philadelphia in 1776, maybe. Depending on if Queen is at Wembley in '86, I gotta do that first. That's what I would choose. So yeah, man. So I'd really like to talk about the Fillmore '68 shows with you guys at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah.
When I first went to listen to Leeds, this is interesting, and I didn't do a whole lot of research into this, but one of the first things that came up on my Amazon was something called like the Who live tracks. I think they were American shows, and this is this era, and they're great. I can only think that maybe this was the American tracks that Pete was going to maybe go through to create a live album before they went to Leeds.
Right.
Yeah, whatever they are, they're good.
But the set lists are like this set list kind of thing.
Yeah, there are a lot of the same songs, but I just happened to stumble on this thing, and I was like, wow, these are cool. These are cool. So I'm thinking maybe they're the ones that escaped Bobby Pridden's burn barrel. But the way they stuck the landing on Leeds is just, they didn't need those takes. They had Leeds, so yeah.
So we like the album. Thank you for listening to us talk about it. I don't know if we've reached our subscription level of 300 or not. If you're the 300th person, you're still listening to this, and you're get someone to subscribe, and you're the 300th person or whatever, let me know. I'll give you something. I don't know what it will be.
Give a referral.
Or a referral. It might be a Lego, or it could be something really cool from my Who collection, or I could order you something. Or it could be just a Fisher Protocol hat, because there's only one of those left in the entire world. Anyway, thanks everybody. We're gonna do something else soon. A lot of Who stuff coming up. We all raise your hand if you got tickets to see the Who. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Bye.